What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming at y'all with another 2 minute drill episode. April 22nd. It's a Thursday, man. Make sure to go catch up on all our 2 minute drills from this week. We got Jackson State football. We got Alabama A&M football. We got transfer portal news, man. We've covered it all this week, but we got kind of like just an abstract topic. We're getting through spring practices, inching closer to summer, and so there was a list that kind of went viral on Twitter of the like top five. It was like the top, I think, 50 college football quarterbacks entering the 2021 season. There were some hot takes on that thing. I mean, Matt Corral apparently is going to win the Heisman next year, according to that list. So me and B-Dub said, this can't be a normal episode. So let's go ahead and do a 2 minute drill. So we're going to do our top three returning quarterbacks for the 2021 season. And so the way I'll talk about my way I did. I'll let Brandon talk here in a second about how he did it. There are going to be some names I didn't put on here that could be on the list. I didn't put Bryce Young. I didn't put DJ from Clemson just because Bryce has never even started a game in college. It's a little unfair. I went with more experience, like guys we are proven. So I went like actual returning quarterbacks. And DJ only played 2 games, guys. He was spectacular, but I need to see him dominate a full season like I've seen some of these other guys do it. But Brandon, how did you make your list? And did you have any honorable mentions that didn't make your list, but you're like, man, I feel so bad not like at least addressing that this guy's a good player?
Yeah, so I made my list based off of just quarterbacks I enjoy watching play. Obviously, I mean that's kind of the thing I do. I go more opinionated. I go more like, what do I truly think? If you guys watch any of our show, you understand that I'm the heart guy. Get that? No, but I mean, I had to sit back and like recognize true talent and truly understand like who are the best quarterbacks returning, who have the most upside this upcoming season. Matt Corral's not on my list. But yeah, man, I had a couple of honorable mentions. 2 guys specifically, and Dylan Gabriel from UCF. He just barely missed the cut. And I couldn't do this episode without at least mentioning Miles Brennan coming off of this injury. I think he played really well last season. I don't think that LSU's turmoil was because of him. So yeah, those 2 guys get honorable mentions for me.
Yeah, I had 2 honorable mentions. I did a top 10. I won't mention everyone. Well, I'll mention like 2 names from my top 10. I think Desmond Ritter, and De'Aaron King were both in my top 10. They're great quarterbacks, but they're not top 5 for me, of course. And for my top 5, I did have 5 and 4 very close. Brandon, a hot take here. I had Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina, at number 5. I think that kid is that good. And you want to talk about just like the tape doesn't lie. That kid's going to be a star. He was the Sun Belt Player of the Year. He led the Sun Belt in every major passing category. I think that kid has one of the brightest futures in college football. I think he's going to have that stardom explosion, kind of like we saw Zach Wilson at BYU have this year in that group of 5. And then 4, 4 and 3 could have been switched for me. I had Keaton Slovis at 4. He just missed a cut. It's just the top 3 quarterbacks, I think, just have a little bit higher ceiling, and I think they're going to be just a little bit better. But I think Keaton Slovis, for me, is like 3B, if that makes sense. I think he's like right on the cusp, but he just hasn't put a full season together where I'm just like, man, this guy is unstoppable. And I want to see
a full
him.
season.
Yeah, he hasn't played a full season. So I think Keaton Slovis is right there, guys. But I had him in the top 4. I know when I went through my top 3, if I didn't have Keaton Slovis, Brandon was going to call me out. So I wanted to make sure I told y'all where I had him. But Brandon, let's get into our list here, man. We're going to go bottom to top. So we starting out with number 3. Who is your third best quarterback entering the 2021 season?
Well, let's go ahead and get this out of the way, Zach. Keaton Slovis. How could I not have him in my top 3? Yes, I understand last season wasn't great for him or for USC in general. They came out on such short notice. I think that was part of their issue, at least. The Pac-12 hardly played a season at all. What was it? It was 6 games or 5 games, something like that.
Yeah, I think some teams even played like 4. It was crazy.
Yeah, so Keaton didn't. I mean, he didn't have a chance to really prove himself. When he did play, he wasn't spectacular. But this is coming off of his freshman season, his true freshman year, where he didn't start the year. And that's what I was talking about. He hasn't played a full season yet. I don't count last year as a full season anyway. In his freshman season, he passed over 80%. We aren't talking about that enough, Zach. on this show. I
I
feel like
agree.
we should. I think we should do that a lot more. No, but I mean, just the potential that's there. I think that he is due for a rebound season, and so this upcoming season, I would have to put Keaton in my top 3.
Yeah, I think he's hands down the best quarterback in the Pac-12. I'll give you that. I think Jaden Daniels is right there at second, but I mean, there's really not even I would say a close second to just pure passing potential you get with Keaton Slovis. I'm interested to see what USC does at the wide receiver spot, but I like number 3. Now listen, we got a lot of subscribers. We looked at our list, we've picked our winners. I know a lot of y'all are Oklahoma fans out there because of our Jessica Cootie interview. Shout out to her and shout out to y'all. I'm going to piss off a lot of people here. I have Spencer Rattler at number 3, Brandon, from Oklahoma. I'd start my list with the best quarterback in the Big 12. I think he's probably the hottest. He was the hottest quarterback, Brandon. I want to say this. Mac Jones was great. Trevor was good. Justin Fields was good. I think Spencer Rattler was the hottest, most exciting quarterback at the end of last season, just in terms of how well he was playing. I mean, he dominated the Big 12 after he gets benched against Texas in the Red River Shootout. Over 3,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. Brandon, he led the conference in completion percentage, passing yards, yards per attempt, passing touchdowns, passer efficiency, and total yards. And he was top 10 in the country in most of those statistics. This was just his first year in Lincoln Riley's offense, Brandon. He didn't have an offseason either to get ready for his first year starting, so I think his potential could be even higher. I think so, Brandon, my list of top 3, yes, he might be 3rd. I think he might have the strongest arm and the most outrageous arm talent in the entire country. This kid can make all the throws across all the whole field from any spot on the field, and he makes it look so effortless, Brandon. I mean, he just flicks his wrist, and that thing is gone like 80 yards, man. I mean, he has so much potential. I think he's going to take that next step, Brandon. He's going to play a full season at the highest level, and I think if I had to put money on it, I think Rattler would have to be a top 2 or 3 Heisman odds. I think he might even have the highest odds in the country right now. So I think he's going to be in the midst of that race. And so right now, at number 3, I have Spencer Rattler. And, we're going to do the snake draft style. I don't want to just keep putting Brandon on the spot, like getting him always first. But my number 2 quarterback, so Brandon, my 1 and 2 were really like 1A and 1 like double A. I went back and forth like all day trying to figure out who I wanted to put 1. I ended up making a decision. At number 2, I have JT Daniels from Georgia. I know it's weird. I was looking at some of the people's lists. The disrespect for JT Daniels is kind of outrageous in my opinion. I mean, I saw a list, Brandon, that had him all the way down at like 13. I mean, this dude, listen, I know it's probably going to rub some Oklahoma fans the wrong way that I have him up here, but I think JT Daniels is the biggest potential breakout star of 2021. And, he missed a huge opportunity last year, Brandon. We talked about it on the podcast. It ends. What happens if JT Daniels starts against Alabama? I don't think it's the same outcome. What happens if he starts against Florida, in which we saw, DeJuan Mathis and Stetson Bennett play worse than me and you would if we had to run out there together as quarterback 1 and 2. Kirby Smart made a terrible decision, but he dominated the last 4 games of the year. I think, Brandon, the thing that separates him is he possesses all the qualities that Georgia quarterbacks have been missing for years. He is the most athletic quarterback they've had since ever, maybe. I mean, he has more poise, the arm talent, that it factor that Jake Fromm never had. Brandon, we talked, Jake Fromm was a decent quarterback, but he never was just like, wow, man, that guy is going to go win you the game. JT Daniels will go win you the game. I mean, in Brandon, just 4 games, he threw for over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, only 2 picks, while averaging over 11 yards per attempt. He took this Georgia offense to a new height that I don't think they've reached since Matthew Stafford was back there taking snaps for the Bulldogs. I get George Pickens is a big loss and it could hurt his production. We covered G-Day last weekend. I think that showed that the wide receiving room is not empty. They're going to have plenty of talent there. I think Daniels is going to set records for Georgia. And just for me, Brandon, in terms of my Heisman odds, I put JT Daniels at the top of the list for the top Heisman odds for the 2021 season. And I think he could be the missing link, Brandon. And if the Georgia Bulldogs are going to break that losing streak, that 1980 streak of no national titles, I think JT Daniels is going to be the guy to get them there.
Yeah. I mean, outstanding quarterback. Spoiler alert, he's not in my top 3. He landed just outside. He landed at number 4 on my list. But I guess to continue, I'll go ahead and give everybody Zach's number 1, my number 2. I've got Sam Howell. He's returning. Everyone knows how Zach went ahead and bought this man a ring. It's just a matter of time before these two are happily married. Sam Howell obviously has all the potential in the world. Last season was I don't even want to say a little rough. It didn't turn out quite the way that we all expected it to. I know after his freshman season, I mentioned this with Keaton, how impressive he was. Sam Howell was impressive. He started the entire year, and I'm not saying he's better than Keaton. Don't quote me saying that, but I'm almost willing to say that he has more potential, and I think he probably has more upside in this upcoming season. I think this North Carolina team might be a little bit more complete than this USC team, and I think that Sam Howell is, going to be the one to, I guess, lead the Tar Heels not to an ACC championship, but to something as close as they can get with Clemson in the conference.
Listen, guys, this is growth. In case you guys just subscribed, this is growth for Brandon. The fact that he ranked Sam Howell over Keaton Levis, this is growth. I feel like I'm finally teaching Brandon football. I feel like we finally got there. We get it. Yes, Sam Howell is better than Keaton Levis. I feel like I'm like Shannon Sharp with LeBron, and you're like Skip Bayless. You've just been tearing Sam Howell down for 2 years on this podcast, and you finally say, yes, he made the promised land.
I've never torn him down, Zach. You legitimately love this kid. I don't get it, but to each their own, I guess.
How shook are you? How shook are you going to be if he's not my number 1?
Incredibly, I will be upset. I don't, but I know he is, so it's okay. So I'll go ahead and continue my number 1. I don't know. You kind of got me nervous about that now. But I'll go ahead and go to my number 1. Zach, he's already been on your list. It's not JT Daniels, Spencer Rattler. This kid came out at the end of last season looking like a whole new quarterback. He looked like the quarterback that we all expected to go in Oklahoma. Because, how much hype was there around his name when he was being recruited before he even stepped foot in Norman?
I think there was some talk, not from anyone who really understood what was happening, but there were people saying that he should replace Jalen Hurts and that he was a more talented quarterback, which he is a more talented quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but there was never a chance he was going to start over Hurts. But there were some people saying, if they did, their potential would be higher, which is saying a whole lot because Jalen Hurts was setting the world on fire at that point.
Yeah. No, I don't understand that for the life of me. I don't think you let a true freshman start over Jalen Hurts. That's just my opinion. But no, Spencer Rattler just has out of the 3 that I've listed so far, in my opinion, has the most potential. He's the most athletic of the 3 that I've mentioned. And I don't know, if we see the Spencer Rattler we saw at the end of last season, Oklahoma's playoff bound again. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, we didn't release it, but we were talking about preseason top 10. I had Oklahoma 2 because I think they're that good. And now, Brandon, so I was looking at kind of rosters, kind of thinking about what I would do. I might put them number 1 right now. I know that sounds crazy. With all the transfers officially being eligible, with Waniya Morris, with Gray from Tennessee, with everyone they got, and Spencer Rattler, I think this team is going to be just absolutely outstanding. I would like to see them get another wide receiver to kind of replace Charleston Rambo, who I believe is headed down to Miami. But I think they're going to be really good, Brandon. I don't hate Spencer Rattler at 1. My top 3 are all just right there together. But you called it, Brandon. I was gonna try to get you with a Bo Nix being number 1, but he's not. Yeah. It's Sam Howell, and listen, Brandon spoiled it. If you ever listen to our podcast, I know some of y'all are new. If you ever listen to your podcast, when I proposed this topic to Brandon, he knew what was coming. It was going to be Sam Howell. And I mentioned the term it factor. When I hear that term, Brandon, that this is the kid I think about is Sam Howell with just that it factor and what he did. I think as a true freshman, he was electric his first year. He led UNC to a top 5 ranking this year, Brandon, of New Year's 6 bowl appearance. Brandon, let this sink in. So I know you haven't really been critical. I was giving you a hard time, but I feel like there's people who don't understand how good Sam Howell has been if they don't watch UNC football because they've been so enamored with Trevor Lawrence. They've been so enamored with Spencer Rattler, just whoever in the country, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. In 2 years at North Carolina, Brandon, over 7,200 passing yards, 68 touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns, 65% completion percentage, and only 14 interceptions. That's some production for you. So, Brandon, I did some research. He was top 2 in the ACC in passing yards both of these past 2 seasons, led the ACC this year, was number 4 in the country this year in passing yards. He led the ACC in touchdown passes both of the past 2 years, while being top 6 in the country both years. And, Brandon, this is the craziest stat. He's already top 10 in ACC history in passing touchdowns as a sophomore. And he was top 2 in the ACC in passer efficiency, led the ACC this year in that statistic, and has a career top 15 rating in the history of college football for best passer rating. Listen, that's mind blowing because a lot of people haven't watched him play much right now. I mean, I know we have because we cover so many games a week and everything, but an average fan probably hasn't seen him play. Go look up this kid's highlights if you want to argue with me. I know I'm gonna have some Oklahoma fans in here and Georgia fans in here saying I don't know what I'm talking about. I will back it up. We will have we're going to launch a Patreon soon where we're going to, invite y'all to, come talk with us. If you want to get on the podcast and debate this, we can. I will welcome any and all debaters. We can have Sam Howell versus everybody episode, whatever of the 2-minute drill y'all want to have. I don't care who you are, where you're coming from. We can have this argument. Brandon, Sam Howell is no question the most talented quarterback in the country for me. I think he's primed for another big season. My biggest worry, though, is they lost their top 3 wide receivers and Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. I want to see how that offensive line, matures throughout the season. But right now, just in terms of pure talent, I don't see a quarterback that is more talented than Sam Howell going into this season.
Right. No, I definitely understand where you're coming from, Zach. And if Spencer Rattler wasn't Spencer Rattler, I might have Sam Howell at 1. But yeah. Also, by the way, before we end the episode, I just need to talk to all the haters for a second. I know you already talked about your Sam Howell rant. For anybody putting Keaton Slovis outside of your top 10, reevaluate. Take a long look in the mirror because you have to remember how good he was his freshman season and how much potential is still there. That's all I'll say, Zach. I just had to get it off my chest.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I'm looking at this list, so I think if you're looking at like a top 10 list, like DJ, Bryce Young, Spencer Rattler, how much talent they're surrounded with, I would argue that if you rank the top 10 of mine with excluding the group of 5, excluding Grayson McCall at Coastal Carolina, Desmond Ritter, Mackenzie Dylan Gabriel, I think excluding the group of 5, you rank the Power 5 quarterbacks, the top 10. I think Sam Howell would be last on the list in terms of help coming into the year. Keaton Slovis would be like 9th. I think those 2 quarterbacks have the least amount of help in terms of looking at the top 10 quarterbacks in the country. Because I think Brock Purdy was in a lot of top 10s too, and we've talked about him. He's a great quarterback, but it's damn lucky to have Breece Hall in the backfield running for 2,000 yards a season.
Yeah. Zach almost just got pulled over by Iowa State fans.
I got double canceled by Iowa State fans. They get on me about how I say Breece Hall. It's fine. If we could go back and record that episode again, I would. That was not my highest moment. I got burned up in the comment section of our video. But, guys, Let us know who your top 3 quarterbacks are entering the 2021 season. We're going to revisit this later this year, of course, but let us know who yours are. You can debate us. I've told y'all the weekend agile StreamYard's real easy. I drop you a link. You come on here, get burned up about who's the best quarterback in the country. We can do this anytime y'all want. But we really do appreciate y'all's support, man. We hit 125 subscribers today, man. It's a quarter of the way to our next goal of 200. We're announcing the winners of our 100 subscriber bundle giveaway. We're going to pick 5 of the first 100. We got all y'all in a list, man. We've already picked. We're going to announce them on our live stream of the first round of the NFL draft, man. So make sure to tune into that. We're going to get a hold of y'all, make sure we get sizes correct and everything, and get y'all's merch bundles ASAP. So go ahead and subscribe now, man. Enter yourself in that 200. As we go up, the bundles and the giveaways are going to get bigger and bigger, man. We appreciate all y'all's support. But me and B-Dub will be back tomorrow, man. We're going to end off the week, man, on a really, really high note. Go check out our Big 12 in 30 days episode today. Texas Tech out now, man. It was a great conversation. It was an amazing interview. I'm looking forward to it. We got Baylor coming up later this week. We got TCU coming next week, and we got West Virginia coming too. So make sure to tune in, subscribe wherever you listen for that as well. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, of course, 5-star rating as well. But guys, thumbs up on this video, subscribe. But me and B-Dub will be back later this week. But for B-Dub, myself, and the Blue Bloods, man, we are out.